Today we are going to take a pivot. So my channel is going to go start focusing more on videography and kind of focusing on how to get better, how to learn different things. We're going to be critiquing some of the wedding videos I did. I'll critique some of the wedding videos you've done if you want to send them in. We can kind of go from there. But I think I want to take a pivot and really focus on wedding videos and becoming a wedding videographer, because now that I've broken into being one, I can give you guys tips and tricks on how to better your career in that field. So let's get started. We're going to critique on my first ever wedding video, and that is going to start with the caps. So this is a friend of mine. I've known them through the volleyball community. They're both absolutely nasty at volleyball, but so they saw some work I did for like video work when it came to shooting highlights for a volleyball team, a professional volleyball team, and they asked me to do their wedding video, and that's kind of how I broke into it. So there's many different ways you can break into it, but that's kind of how it started. So let's jump into it and critique, as well as point out some of the clips that I enjoyed that I really liked from this video. Some of the drone footage was a little difficult just because it was raining that day and it was really misty. So we'll jump around to some of the better parts. So you hear that switch from the audio of the song that was being sang. So the first part of it was a shotgun mic in a very closed room, very close, and then the second part, where it kind of sounds more muffled, is a shotgun video in this big room. He was about like right here, so you hear a lot of the reverberation off the walls and whatnot, and it just sound very open. I didn't have a piece of equipment that I really wish I did at the time. The Zoom F3 that has saved me on multiple wedding videos. It's just the audio that you can get from is absolutely insane. I really wish I had it, because the audio we're hearing now is from a mic, but with the Zoom F3 I can plug it directly into the DJ's soundboard, and that gives me just the clear line audio, 32-bit float, that allows me just, again, be able to utilize just super clear audio as opposed to kind of what we're hearing now. So I really wish I would have had that at the time, but again, this was my first wedding video ever, so I was able to edit a little bit, and it still sounded pretty solid, but I know with that piece of equipment that would have upped my game even further. But that's definitely something I really wish I would have had here, at least some kind of professional audio that I would have put on the mic. But again, you learn and you get better, and that's what you got to do. So that was definitely one of my one of the bigger things that I wish I had for this. This is one of my key shots and transitions I love doing. For all the groomsmen, I shoot in about 120 frames per second, 1080p, just because, again, I like the quick movement of getting to them and then slowing them down as they're walking to wherever they're going. I make it different a little bit here and there, but that's one of the things I really like doing. I kind of do that across the board, because again, you just highlight all the groomsmen, and then if I can, I'll get the bridesmaids as well. But typically, a lot of the B-roll already has a lot of the bridesmaids, so this is where I really take a second to really kind of highlight them individually. But yeah, so that's a good one if you can incorporate in your style. It definitely helps, and again, it's just more B-roll to have. Always shoot more B-roll than you think. That you can always delete after the fact, but you can. It's better to have more and not need it than need it and not have it. So just that is the biggest thing when it comes to wedding videos. So if you're not sure if you need that shot, just grab it, just shoot it, and just kind of go from there. So I definitely overshot for this wedding video, but again, I was nervous because it was my first one. So as you grow, you'll know which ones you really need, and you can be more streamlined with it when you make that decision. But as you're getting into it, shoot more than later. Again, a lot of B-roll. The best part about B-roll too is you really get the actual personalities of each individual person too. That's like the best part. And if you can really do that, then it gives the video a lot more personality itself. And it's again, it's just be able to highlight some of those key factors really kind of helps bring along the storyline and what you're trying to highlight in a lot of the video. Typically, I like to document. I don't really like to direct. There will be some clips here and there I'll direct, but rarely. Rarely I'll be directing people around of how to pose and do those kind of things. That's more for kind of the photography style, but I will typically just kind of document because I really want to just capture the day as it's happening. I think that's more important. That's more my style, and with a little bit of direction here and there if the bride or groom really prefer it. All right, let's jump up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Come on, we've been waiting years for this day. This is special. Come on. It's truly a joy to be gathered here today in celebration of this couple. I'm Logan Huntsberg, and they asked me to...
I noticed I jumped back and forth too. Like it's very early on in the video to really show her in her dress. I definitely could have done a way better job at this as to kind of build up to it and hide some of those clips a little bit better. I definitely could have done that a little bit better, and something that I'm reflecting back on now because it wants to. You want the build up to be centered around the bride. Sorry, groomsmen out there. It's more her day than anything, if you're being honest. But so especially for the video too, with being them, just like you really want to kind of hide her until you get to the part of her walking down the aisle or like really close to that part. And I kind of jumped the gun and had her in a few early shots, which I probably could have done better. That's me, and that's definitely a learning curve that I was not really aware of until after the fact. Because then I kind of jumped back to them getting ready.
Celebration of this couple. I'm Logan Huntsberg, and they asked me to do the wedding today, which I'm excited to do as I dearly love both of these people. I just want to...
Here's a part where I directed. All it was is me telling her to mess around with her earring. Like she was putting it on because she already had it on. I didn't catch the actual natural reaction. So
Ian, you are called to love your wife,
right,
especially and sacrificially
here
every day, leading your house and your family in love and respect to Sammy.
So it's those little things. There are little things where you really want to catch on the fly, but like that could happen so quick. So if you need to direct a little bit, like, hey, I would really like that in-depth kind of really close-up shot. Can you just redo that for me? That's where the little bit of direction comes into. But for the most part, another shot that I really enjoyed was using my gimbal to walk down the hall as she was coming. Again, here I know it's a little bit early again before she's walking down the aisle, but this is to get the reaction. So this can really be beneficial if you get some movement with the dress and
leadership, also helping him lead.
Like a hallway of some sort, so you're able to shoot down
and
kind of get that angle.
You guys
which
are
is really
a team,
dope.
and may you never stop cheering each other on and being each other's biggest fans. Some random guy named Henry Miller said this, and he put it darn well. He said, "The only thing we never get enough of is love, and the only..."
All right, and let's jump to one of the biggest things too is if you are a solo individual, solo filmmaker, solo videographer, you want to get her walking down the aisle. I have two cameras also, so you need to flip around to get the reaction. You need to, no matter what. Do not miss that at all. Even if you're up and close and in the way. Obviously, don't get in between them, but if you're in front of people, don't worry. You're there. You're
Ian,
getting paid for a reason.
will you take Sammy as your wife, as your companion, and your
The
best
sun was
friend for
really
life?
rough this day, so
Do you
playing
promise to
around
treat her
was
with love,
pretty difficult.
devotion, honor, and respect? Do you promise to stand by?
Another part that I realized that I was really happy with was some of the B-roll I got when it came to reading their vows. You can get this B-roll in the beginning, like try to think about how the day will go and seeing how you can kind of overlay some of the stuff. So as he begins his vows, I made sure I shot B-roll early on of him opening up his letter and what he's going to be reading kind of thing.
He's more myself than I.
So let me get to his part.
Sam,
These past 8 years have been nothing
Again,
but
this
short of extraordinary.
overlay
I
while
knew this
he's
day would
talking
come
about
eventually. I
during
can't believe it's
the
already here.
reception
From our 10K
or the
runs
ceremony.
that you
Sorry,
forced me into, to the late nights with friends
one of my favorite shots because you get the light leak right here, and you can just see his
playing board games until 1
focus.
a.m. It ends where it started,
You
surrounded
see
by our
the
families.
jawline. You can see that the emotional, and it's moody, but it's also very light and airy, like really highlighting just like the amount of love that's kind of going on today, which is pretty dope.
In the entire volleyball community. You've always been supportive in the things I love to do. Have never once told me that I shouldn't push myself. Today, I think. To say the
Obviously, you gotta get the cake. If you don't, just give all the money back to the bride and groom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to pronounce, for the first time in public, Mr. and Mrs. Ian and Samantha Cap.
So I had to jump to this angle because somebody walked in front of my camera that shot straight down. So also another tip and trick, if you can have multiple cameras set up just to give you a place to jump to, that's definitely a safe bet. It will just save you in the long run of just stress and stuff of just worrying about if you got the shot or not. You can always jump because I had a few people walk in front of this camera during the session, which I was able to jump to my other camera on a tripod, as well as my camera on a gimbal. So that's probably the most stressful thing, is not really knowing who's blocking your thing. Hopefully people are able to recognize like, oh, this is a camera, I probably shouldn't stand there. But there are some people who will not think that through. So make sure you have multiple angles, please, or at least just let your gimbal, the one that you're seeing, just run the entire time. Because once that person's out, I'm able to jump back to my gimbal, and we're good to go. Also, some speeches feel like they're forever as a videographer, and you need to make sure, again, having that B-roll is massive. So just to be able to overlay that, because you don't want your audience to get bored of what they're watching, what they're seeing, and your eyes just get bored so fast if it's the same thing, same shot, same stagnant thing. Even if the audio is funny and it's great, just have some B-roll just to lay it over a little bit, and maybe even lay over something that maybe they're talking about, maybe their friendship. You can cut to a clip of all of them together, but just
the
like
next 10 pop sounds in a row and still not outshine you. I will also say that you're kind, considerate, intelligent, caring, and Ian is a very lucky man because he got to marry you. And we know since you're
again, like it doesn't even have to really kind of go with what along what they're saying, but just to cut through something different, like, oh wow, like again, like your focus is back on the video, just trying to keep your viewers watching through and through. And again, just the same thing, just during speeches, just cutting to different parts. And again, sometimes it's nice to get B-roll of everyone that's there too, especially during
Short 12-year-olds playing volleyball on opposing teams. Little
the
did we
reception.
know, a lifetime
You're able to highlight people who came there, supported them,
being
who's
college
loving
athletes,
them,
diet
loving
is
the love
super
that's going
important.
on that day.
Ian was able to keep his peak physical shape on a strict, healthy diet of
I also love this
teammate
shot.
and roommate of ours, Steve, who's
However, my
diagnosed with
biggest
cancer.
beef,
The three
I
of us
set my settings in the shade, which I shouldn't have done. I should
had
have
gone through school together these
done it
long,
in the
long
sun
seasons,
because they walked into
and
the
wanted to
sun.
get one more year playing.
And
Ian
see how it's way too overblown. All the whites, they're kind of clipped. I did drag it down a little bit, but I should have set my settings here and then walked it, even though if the shadows were a little bit darker. It's the end shot where this is the main part that I would want to highlight. It's a little bright for my liking. I definitely could have done a better job, but again, you can't really foresee everything. But it is what it is.
and I came up with an idea to hold out our senior year and come back for a fifth. So that Steve can come back, and mostly during their relationship.
It's definitely smart to have a wide angle too. There was not much room for me to kind of move around these individuals, especially during the dances. So if I didn't, I might have been cooked. But thankfully, I did have a wide angle because you never really know what the kind of setup's going to be until you're there. I typically like to get to the ceremony or the venue like an hour before, just so I can kind of scope out some ideas and like pretty much take some precaution about what might be a problem for me. It just helps me feel a little bit better at the end of the day and go from there. But I was able to have a wide angle and orbit. I really like the orbiting shot. That's just me. Some people just like to get quick clips of it, but orbiting is, especially if you have a gimbal, that's not equipment everybody has. But if you do, it's a great shot to really learn and practice.
Ian, right now, is the best version of himself. So, all that being said, I'd like to raise a glass.
See how it gets super close though? There's not a lot of room.
May they share a beautiful life together, and maybe one day.
Again, wide angle 2 for the party scene. They were having a blast during the party, and then I always love the party because you just get the most personality of everybody late on in the night, and yeah, you just try to highlight that as best you can. And then my final shot, I was very happy with this one. This was probably top 3 shots of my video that I really enjoyed. It was the ending scene, which was pretty much just the perfect wrap up. They used it a sparkler exit, so you'll see. I fade the audio into something quieter. Should learn how to do that as well. Watch when he dips her. I sync that up with the audio to really hit that really emotional right here. And that wraps up my critique of my first ever wedding video. If you want me to critique yours, please reach down in the comments and we could set something up. Again, it's not to pretty much just be our worst critique of ourselves. It's to hopefully get us better and become better videographers, better photographers, whatever it is. So again, it's just how can we grow? And sometimes having fresh eyes on it can help. So I plan on doing these with all mine and just showing you guys how I've grown, what equipment has helped me get some shots that I really liked, and kind of just go from there. So comment down below, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next video. I appreciate it. Let me know if you guys like this style. I think I'm gonna again pivot more towards like wedding videography and kind of going from there and doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, follow for more tips and tricks. I'll catch you guys next time.